And I think just learning those skills of how to critically look at your data and identify problems, and if it's really a problem or if it's a signal, and I guess that's like statistics, but those things that you don't think about learning but are really important to my work every day. Debugging code, looking for other people's mistakes, just thinking critically about your data. I'm glad I learned that, and I love doing it now. But I wasn't very happy about doing it at the time.
You weren't that bad.
What do you mean there's a mistake? No.
I swore it was quite a while after Kara left and went to USGS. I kept tabs on her via her supervisors and bosses. And they were always very extremely complimentary about how valuable her data analysis skills were.
One course I took that I use every day now is a typing course.
I was going to mention that. I took that in high school, and that was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, me too. I guess they don't teach that anymore, do they? People just learn on their own.
I think so, yeah.
I'm sort of amazed by the people who can do the, chicken typing, and they're like very fast at it, and I'm sort of like, how do you even know what you're typing? Now they have voice to text though, so
Yeah.
you can just dictate your paper.
Check it carefully.
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of segues into my next question. What are the top 3 technical skills, or any technical skills, employers in your field seek in new hires today?
We at the USGS use GIS all the time. I should have said I should have taken more GIS, but it's kind of new then.
Yeah.
But now I use that all the time, and I'm not a professional, but we seem to need more and more people with GIS skills at the USGS. Of course, data analysis and statistics and programming of all kinds of, I'm a MATLAB person, but the person next to me is Python, and then we've got another guy who's a web guru. So I think if you know a variety of programming languages, it will be helpful for lots of career opportunities.
I'm not an employer, but I guess I would look at it more from the standpoint of if I need a research assistant or a graduate student, what I'd be looking for, and it's basically going to be more about experience. What's your research experience? Have you published that? And I know, you're all in school here now, and you've gone through the whole application process, and you're always worried about your grades and your GREs, et cetera. But I always tell, right now I'm telling our students at Eckerd that are interested in graduate school, I'm saying, focus on the research experience, because that's primarily where it's going to happen. You're going to make a connection with somebody on the faculty who's doing research that you're interested in, and you develop a rapport with that person, and that's basically the key, I think, to getting in, more so than what your grade point average is or what your GRE scores are.
So I gave up the field work about 7 years ago or so, but I will let you know that, so there's sort of 2 different skill sets that I looked for as an employer in people that I would hire. And some of them were more, functional, that you could certainly polish while you're here. I think if you're a field-based scientist, that your knowledge of your equipment, being able to drive and trailer a boat, very fundamental things that not everybody has. Those skills are important, safety first. And although I come from a background of using a lot of technical equipment, I think fundamental to an understanding of when you're using technology is, do I trust the data that's coming out of it? And there are many people who blindly trust the data that's coming out of it and have, haven't really done the, quality control of putting it in the water and taking it out of the water, and that sort of how that can affect your data as well. So an understanding of that might be useful as well. And that sort of carries into the laboratory, the office-based side of things. If you're an office person, I think it's a very useful skill to be able to say, to recognize whether what you're working with is quality data to begin with, and what the provenance of that data is, not just blindly publishing, because there's a lot of, so I used to work for the Ocean Observatory Initiative, and there's just vast volumes of data coming out of that, and many other programs, and some of it's got problems. And so I think before you just go, oh, look, there was the highest recorded temperature in the middle of, wherever, and you decide to publish a paper about that, was that really sound data? And some people do rush out there and publish. Not that you should hold back on something exciting like that, but yeah, I think that, cautious observations of, or critical cautious observations of data would be a useful skill. I'm not sure how you sort of interview for that, but.
When you say employers are looking for GIS skills, do you mainly mean, Esri-based ArcMap, or are there other programs that you've run into people are looking for?
We're mostly using ArcMap and Esri at the USGS because we have a license for it, but we use Global Mapper for LiDAR data. We use some open source GIS. But I think also along with that, I was thinking is data management. We have a whole, as federal employees, we now have to provide open access to any data that goes into any publication. So we now have just gobs of data that has to go out to the public. It needs to be organized, and none of the scientists want to do this.
And metadata.
Yeah, nobody wants to do that. I hate doing it, but I have to do it, quite a bit of it, as part of my job. And we are hiring people, like, maybe that's not exciting, but if you want to maybe just get in the door as a data management type of person, you could start in that, and as you're working with the data, you get more into the science. But we need people who know how to operate databases and make them user-friendly for scientists and public, and we have a big opportunity there.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Oh,
We're
okay.
not. We're not very good at it right now. Like right now, you have to publish it as a data series,
Right.
and it gets available on some website somewhere. But we're
There's a-
But you
developing
let others
tools
handle
and
it.
portals and interactive maps. And
Well, there's
yeah.
a lot of opportunities. Some of the buzzwords are big data, and there's a lot of webinars or classes or opportunities under the big data umbrella that, my view is we have some people that are coming from business and banking especially that are coming in to handle the big data stuff, and why can't we have scientists doing that? And I think sometimes it's just that an industry is a little further along in the big data realm than a scientist is, and so that's where you recruit from. And I think in the sciences, we have a lot of people in agencies that are not scientists by trade. They bring something to the mix, and there's something to be said for that. There's also a lot of scientists who've left science and are applying their skills in other fields. We certainly have a lot of graduates that do that as well. So my preference would be that we keep scientists in the sciences, even if we have to spend a little bit of more time training them. But you go where the money is and where your life takes you sometimes.
Very true.
So Mary Beth, you mentioned the value of networking in doing outreach and education. And I know that you've developed this monthly networking event for the marine science community and beyond. I don't know if anyone has attended those, but maybe you can speak about why you created that, the value that you see people are getting out of it, and
So
what can we do to help you?
Absolutely. Our next event is Thursday, the 13th, this coming Thursday, at the new Independent in St. Petersburg. You don't have to drive to Tampa. And it's 4:30 to 6:30. And the new Independent in St. Petersburg just reopened. They used to be in a different location, but their new location, which is where we will be having the happy hour, is 1049 Central Avenue, the location of the old Amsterdam. If you've been there. And
Howard's buying the first round.
But only if you volunteer for Science Festival.
There you go. There
yeah,
you go.
and we had it early so that we could avoid Science Festival because I know y'all are going to be very involved in that. But you have, I think, opportunities with the Science Festival too. But the reason why I started the Marine Science Networking is that I was laid off of that federal program, the Ocean Observatory Initiative, and I was in a room full of a bunch of business people who were also in a laid-off situation, and they were all talking about the networking opportunities that they went to at the, Chamber of Commerce this, or the, Republican women's voters that. And they would get to me, and I would say, oh, well, I don't have any of those opportunities unless you're at a science conference, which we've all been to the mixers at the, Ocean Sciences meeting or whatever, and that was my view of networking in the sciences. And then I had heard Jackie say several times, oh, we have 1,100 estimated people here in the downtown St. Petersburg area and, all these different agencies. And I was like, well, gosh, darn it, why don't they have something, because I need to get a job, and why can't they have something so that I can go there and then meet the person who's going to hire me for this job? And then somebody around that room and, from the business said, well, why don't you just do your own? And I was like, I can't do that. That's a networking thing. You have to have a hotel, and somebody has to pay for their drinks, and I have no money. And then the more I thought about it, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And then I'm going to tell them all that they have to pay for their own drinks. And so that's what I do.
Perfect solution.
And we've had a lot of people that have landed. Bruce has, in fact, hired somebody that he met at, I believe,
Correct.
at the Marine Science Networking, as have many others. And I think there's potential for collaborations. We have vastly different backgrounds of people that come. We have a lot of Marine Technology Society folks, some DOD folks, so you'll get the people that do black ops, and you'll say, what do you do for a living? And they're like, well, I can't tell you because I'd have to kill you. But you never know what kind of people that you're going to meet at that opportunity. And are they hiring, or are they offering something that you could hire them for, or could you collaborate on an RFP? So that's the whole purpose of the Marine Science Networking, in my mind. Maybe other people have different views. So if you've been to one and you felt like you got something else out of it, I'd love to hear.
So it's a great place to recruit students from Ecker as well.
Yeah. And the University of Tampa.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They come. They're on my list.
Well, and to expand on the whole networking theme, take advantage of as many scientific meetings as you can. I know you're all active and you all do that, but that's critical as well, not only for meeting future colleagues, but future employers. That's how I got my my postdoc, because of people that I met at a national meeting. So that's usually the way it happens. I think it's who you know, right? So the more people you know, the better.
And one tip I would just throw out that I think would help me, that every single person in this room could do today, is start a CV, a written CV, and don't forget about it. Because sometimes that opportunity is like, right there, and you go, God, I haven't updated my CV. They want to know all my publications, and it's been 2 years since I touched that thing, and it's going to take me, 2 weeks to get that all together, and by then the job's going to be closed, and then before you know it, you've talked yourself out of applying for this great opportunity just because you don't have that one little document ready. So there's 1,000 ways to write a CV. Just pick one and get started on it, and then keep it up to date. And by the way, if some job asks for a resume, there are a lot of jobs that don't want your CV. They're like 1 page max. You can cull your information from your CV to make that relevant.
What about when someone's like cold emailing you? I feel like I always get a lot of anxiety over that because I'm like, I don't want to write something too long, but I want to make sure they know I've read their work. And then I, make my CV, but I also don't want it to be too short. So, like, what do you look for when someone's emailing you, like, as a potential collaborator or someone who wants to work with you, for you?
I think I would assume that they already know something about you.
Okay.
And find out, how did you, I think an easy opening thing would be, I'd love to work with you. How did you find out about me? And then go from there. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities to put yourself out there in a non-scientific way, like on LinkedIn. There's a lot of collaborations that can happen from LinkedIn, and that's much more business related. So,
I think you would start with an email, but hopefully at some point make an attempt to meet the person face to face. So, at a conference or a meeting, or if you happen to be in the area, or just basically stop in, say hi, introduce yourself.
Any questions? Okay. So what value do you find in professional society memberships?
Does anybody? I enjoy
Are you a part of it?
Yeah, I'm a member of AGU, and I enjoy going to the meetings. And I guess I'm not a member of any other professional society. So that's kind of the big one for USGS members. A lot of members of Geological Society of America. But since I already established that I'm not a geologist, I don't. Yeah. But I enjoy the meetings and just keeping up to date with current research and their emails they send around, that little weekly newsletter.
Yeah, most people probably go to multiple meetings, but in terms of being active in an association, there's probably only 1 or 2 main associations that you're going to be active in, and that's kind of where you feel most at home and where you're going to, again, meet most of your collaborators. And it's about outreach and meeting people and just finding out what other folks are doing, which helps in a way steer your thinking and your research activity, and finding out, just keeping up with the state of that field, whatever that happens to be. It's important to do that, and you do get a certain amount of professional satisfaction about being involved, and then giving back to that association by serving on the board and doing other things as well. So it kind of, what goes around comes around.
I think the first reasons why you get involved in a professional association is to get access to journals and discounts on going to a scientific meeting, let's be honest. And then the reason why a potential employer or collaborator might be interested in seeing on your CV or your LinkedIn that you're a member of the AGU or, Fisheries Society or whatever, American Fisheries Society, would be, I'm also a member of that. We have this opportunity to start a conversation based upon that. Or maybe I'll see them at the upcoming meeting. I think there's sort of like in having to do the homework that, you didn't really want to do, but you know that it helped you out. In the long run category, there's other opportunities that you get tapped for, like serving on the board. But also, if there's a journal associated with that professional society, you might be tapped as a reviewer on certain journal articles, and that's a new skill and a new opportunity that you have to sort of get your name out there and get some peer recognition as well. And you may be asked at the meeting to judge, student poster competitions or, whatever that may fall under the category of service to the organization, but it doesn't mean that you don't benefit from it, even if you were sort of dragged there kicking and screaming.
So can I ask how many of you have already applied for membership to one or more professional societies? So if you haven't, go to your advisor Monday and say, I went to the alumni thing and they suggested that I belong to a professional society. Which one should I?
Right.
Yeah,
There's
student.
the Oceanography Society, there's American Fisheries, there's AGU, there's the Geological Society of America, there's the Geochemical Society, there's
IRF, L&O.
Yeah,
all sorts
estuary
of
research.
but, you
Certified.
should at least be a member of one.
And let's not forget AAAS.
AAAS.
Yeah.
Through your connections,
Yeah.
we've got free membership for 3 years for all the incoming class. And so we submitted your names. So if you get an email from AAAS saying, would you like a free subscription to science?
Say
It's not,
yes.
it's not a hoax, it's
Not fishing.
free. Don't provide your password, but tell them yes.
There's Sigma Z is another opportunity. There's student rates, so they're very affordable as well. And if I could also plug the Alumni Association, it's $35 a year, $500 for lifetime membership. Once you've graduated, you may not have the same access to periodicals as you may like, depending upon your field. I do not have any access, and government workers have limited access, and other academics have the full access. It's almost like a transition from what you already have now. So you wouldn't notice any change. But it can be a hindrance if you don't have access to some of the academic references. And with your membership, you have library, USF library, online credentials so that you can get into Science Direct and all of that.
I
Yeah,
never thought of that.
yeah.
So can you join the alumni, or how do you know this? Can you join the alumni association before you graduate, like your last semester?
Yeah, you get
Yeah,
a
I think so.
you get a free year after
Afterwards?
graduation.
Oh,
Anyways,
And when you buy your cap and gown, it's part of that, it's hidden in that fee.
when you rent it or buy it?
Well, you rent it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, it's hidden in that
So
fee.
you saying you can't get access?
But if you don't walk.
right.
you
That's what I'm
because I'm
wondering.
not a-
You're an alum?
Let me find out.
Oh, I can through the Alumni Association.
Okay.
But if I didn't have my Alumni Association
Right.
membership,
Right.
I would not have access to Science Direct unless I was willing to fork out a substantial annual membership fee for that.
Question.